Good morning and welcome to Warwick Castle for what is not just an ordinary day at Warwick Castle, but it's the Haunted Castle Halloween event, which kicks off today on October the 24th, running right the way through until the end of half term. I do have a date here somewhere. It's not even running through to the end of half term, it's only running through to Halloween, which is the 31st of October. With the castle closed at 9 o'clock, there is actually a daytime ticket and there's an evening ticket as well. Obviously, we get here on our annual pass. Free of charge for a premium annual pass, which will also allow us entry to the dungeons. So yeah, it's running for the half-term period, but kind of stops midway through the half-term period. I don't really understand why they don't continue it for the rest of the time, bearing in mind that Warwick Castle is actually open 364 days a year. It's only Christmas Day it's shut. However, there are some new things here which we want to try, and that's the reason why we're here. We had a quick look at kind of places we could visit, and Warwick Castle came up as one of those that we don't normally visit, but you know, we like something new, and there is something new here. There's quite a lot of Halloween activities going on here. I have to say, I'm not sure whether or not they did them last year. I didn't really check. So for the kind of daring ones, so the kind of children 10 years plus, which definitely includes me, the castle dungeons are there. Dungeons, I think everyone knows what they're like and what they do, and they've kind of seen some things in there. But they also have a Paranormal Encounters, which is open from 12 o'clock. So it'd be interesting to see what that's about. Join the crew of Paranormal Encounters TV show while they record a Warwick Castle special. With reports of increased activity, they will try and discover why the ghosts of Warwick are unable to leave. And then for the evening, there's a real brave one, a 12+1, which is Dead of Night. This kicks off at 5 o'clock. We'll be hanging around till 5 o'clock as well to do that. In the mist, in the roll over Warwick, an army of dead rise. If you want to live to see another sunrise, you will have to survive this all-new scare maze. Now, there is things for the children as well, or for the younger ones. We're going to try and take you, well, we're going to try and go in some of them. Obviously, we're not going to be able to film in any of these, but we will give you a review as we go. But there are some of them we are going to experience on the little ones. So Witch's Tower is effectively a interactive family show, which is a storybook telling. That's not one we're going to be going in. The Horrible Histories Maze is just a normal maze, but it's advertised as part of the Halloween. That is actually here all year round. The Haunted Hollows is a spooky walkthrough trail. Not really sure if we can go in that one yet, but we're going to go and have a look. You've got the Dead Center stage, which is the stage show over there. We'll show you some little clips of that. That's kind of out in the open as well. It's got shows, I think, every sort of hour throughout the whole day. And then the Junior Ghost Hunt as well, which we've been told we can go in. So do you believe in ghosts? Join the family-friendly ghost hunts as we find out what lurks within the spooky mansion. Now, we will also show you some bits from Warwick Castle, because we are here. It is an historic castle, and there's plenty going on. We'll go for the Trebuchet chalk down the bottom. We understand that's not working since it broke earlier on in the season, and hasn't been fixed yet. I think it's quite a complicated machine. And of course, there's the Great Hall and other areas as well that we'll go in. We won't be able to take you again in some of them. Some places like the Time Traveller won't be able to take you in, but you know, we'll take you around and certainly show you a bits of the talk and things. As you can see, it's, you know, quite prehistoric looking. I mean, even the little shops and things are kind of in little huts. The toilets are in huts. The peacocks are sitting on top of signs. You know, got archery range down there. You've got the mill as well around the back. We will have a little look around the mill. And yeah, but we are here for the Haunted Castle event, and I can't wait. You know, we love a good scare maze. Paranormal Encounters certainly sounds entertaining, and Dead of Night sounds really, really good. So we'll take you around, we'll show you some bits and pieces. If we can take you anything, we will. If not, we will give you a review as soon as we've done it. It has been raining really hard, like really hard. This is soaking wet at the edges. I'm soaking wet at all kinds of edges. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will hold out now for the rest of the day as the sun is beaming through the sky over there. But knowing our luck, it will probably rain again. Let's head on to our first section.
We won't be loosing anything from our trebuchet today. In fact, we haven't loosed anything from April of this season. We began our season as normal, loosing our trebuchet 3 times a day, as we would, but we began to notice a problem, and that problem arose in the massive throwing arm at the very top, where we got a very large and deep crack that has emerged, and the gentleman over here with the black umbrella, you're in the best position to see it, in fact. So those of you over here, if you did want to have a wander around afterwards, go and have a little look. But it simply means that if we were to attempt to use our trebuchet, that arm could snap during operation, destroying the entire machine, but perhaps more importantly, the crew and myself. Obviously not good. So, Trebuchets. Trebuchets are siege engines, and the idea of a siege is that you surround a castle and attack the castle, aiming to get those on the inside out. And there's many ways you can attack a castle, from knocking the doors down, knocking the walls down, mining underneath the walls, climbing up ladders, up the walls, and simply bashing the walls down, so to speak. But the problem with all of these methods is that you have to get quite close to those walls in order to do that. And you've got archers on the inside of the castle, of course, attacking you. So what you need is you need to be able to attack the castle from a distance away. And what better to do that than, of course, the siege engines. And there's a various amount of siege engines, from your ballista to your mangonel, but none are quite as mighty as the trebuchet, which were quite famed, in fact, for ending the siege. Quite often when these arrived, it was game over, so to speak. And there's a few famous trebuchets back in history, a bit like naming a boat today. It was always the thing to name your trebuchet, and we know from our research that there were trebuchets with names like Checkmate, The Girl in the Wood, a little one called The Donkey. Great names, but perhaps one of the most feared of all was a huge trebuchet built by Edward I, used to attack Stirling Castle, called Warwolf. Supposedly twice the size of this one, having 4 wheels just to move the weight required. So quite an impressive feat. But actually, this is our favourite one behind me here. So to introduce you to the Warwick Castle trebuchet. So this is the world's largest usually working authentic siege engine. Her name is Ursa. That's the counterweight. It weighs a ton, but we've thrown 5 tons of rock or ballast inside that box. And this is why being a trebuchet winder is such hard work. So they're pulling that arm down, lifting that massive box. Now once they've got the arm down to the back of the machine where I stood, my next job as trebuchet master is to activate the trigger. And this is the all-important trigger.
The ghost hunts.
I didn't take one.
This has got me falling over it, written all over it. But just to take you over to the stage, Ghost Army of Edge Hill. Ghost Army of Edge Hill. That might be worth having a look at 4 o'clock. So of course here is Warwick Castle. You got the Witch's Tower in there, that's the children's story time, so nothing kind of out the ordinary. We might go up around here and have a look. This is your main dead stage over here. Obviously the dungeons don't move. You'll then see here, which we just photoed, or videoed, sorry, the paranormal encounters and a junior ghost hunt. Both of which we've done. And yeah, very different on each one, actually, on what we think. But we're gonna have a carry on left and a look around and walk down the bottom end and just kind of show you what's going on for the event. This is quite nice actually. I don't know whether the projections are still on over here. But these projections were quite nice. That reminded me of Portons Park last year actually. It's not something I've seen Merlin do before. That's a nice little touch. Again, a lot of the effects they've got here are definitely going to look better at night. But I'm not sure whether we're going to be here until night. But we do want to catch the new maze experience, which is around the back, and we will show you, which doesn't open until 5 o'clock. So we will definitely show you that after then. There's some nice characters walking around. There's a lot of school groups here today. So we are kind of biding our filming time because of the amount of school groups. We're not actually sure where this goes, but heading up this way anyway. That's a beautiful castle. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We'll show you some shots from inside. Obviously it's the Halloween we've come to do, but we will show you some shots from inside. We'll show you the I'll try and show you a bit of the show. I'm going to take you for a walkthrough of the children's maze. We can take you for a walkthrough of that, actually, of the Haunted Hollow. So we're going to take you through that and be able to show you all the way through on that, but we can't film in these ones that are in the tower. I'm knackered already. I'm knackered already. Barely gone anywhere. So this actual fortress here, which we're just about to go in, which is this unique view here, hasn't actually we haven't seen. We haven't seen. It wasn't open last time we came. Last time we came was 2017. Look at this view of the castle. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, some beautiful, truly beautiful sights. I appreciate it's not a theme park, people, but as I said, we're here for Halloween. Got to take in all the detail. Not stunning detail. So this area here only opened in 2018. I said we haven't been since 2017, so we've never walked around this bit before. It's just stunning views. Really is beautiful views. You know, you look out here, there's a little bit of town over there, but certainly look this way. There's nothing to be seen for miles. You know, you can sort of imagine the invaded grounds and everything. Got little longboats down there. There's a trebuchet machine over there. I think you've got a falconry display around here, down here as well. This apparently is the biggest one in the UK, this falconry display, which is just on this green down here. Might be able to see it a little bit more as we come around the corner. There we go, all over there, and then you kind of sit on this green down here. I don't think it's on today, oddly enough. You can see people playing archery down here as well. So archery is actually 6 shots for £3 or £5 for 12 shots, which I don't think is too bad. For anyone that hasn't done archery, yeah, kids having great fun down there. I have no idea where this path leads. Absolutely no idea. Just a small little dining room here. Nothing too big. Do wonder how much of this is original, and how much of it has obviously been under refurbishment. Beautiful nonetheless. We are in the Haunted Hollows. So that's the horrible history maze there, which we might venture in afterwards. I have no idea what this bit's used for normally. To be honest, I'm assuming this is just gardens you can walk through. I could definitely escape that maze back through to here though without anyone noticing. Oh, bless them. Well, they look happy. Got some spiders. If you dare. Ooh. Look at him though. He looks scary. Looks like they stole some of those puns from the vampire queue line. Enter at your own risk. P.S. I wouldn't if I were you. Nah. We're going in. It's nice actually. So this is the family-themed maze, if you will, a little walkthrough. Recommended for 3 to 8. That looks quite nice. Got a lot of uneven steps though, quite a lot of steps to go through. Can't believe you're normally allowed to walk around this bit, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. It's been done up quite nicely. We've got the stocks there as well. Oh. Here's the actual Haunted Hollows. Ooh. trick or treat, but they look like they go through the same area. She was a bit strange. Told us to go back and then told us to carry on going. This is the final straw. Oh look, they got this colour as well. Chessington had this colour going on. It's quite nice. I imagine it'll look quite nice in there at night, actually. Look at this attention to details up in the trees as well. I like that. I might have to duck through this. These guys.
Oh, hello there, how you doing, right?
Hello?
Would you like to have a free neck massage?
Not today, thank you.
Oh, no, I don't. It's not free guarantee. Sure?
No. There's some lovely detail in this, mate. I don't really want my head chopped off today. He's already been a victim, look. Oh, look. Cool that looks. Give him pumpkin to talk about. Come on now, people. How funny is that? Give him pumpkin to talk about. Dead End Boo Boulevard.
It's a giant blueberry.
Yeah, I am. Oh, I should follow the arrow, shouldn't I? Bon voyage. Come on now, people. How good are these puns? If I see Toby Larone now, I'll tell you. No one's alive. Oh.
In the year 1642, the country became engulfed in a civil war between King Charles I and Parliament. In 11 years of blood and terror, strange stories began to emerge, tales of witches and ghosts. One particular tale is the most famous ghost story in English history, the Ghost Army of Edge Hill. The spirits of those involved in that famous battle still bicker in the aftermath.
I'm the wife of Robert Bertie, the Earl of Lindsay, the most experienced soldier at 60 years of age, and appointed the General-in-Chief of the Royalist Army by King Charles I himself. And this is Prince Rupert of the Rhine, nephew of the King.
I was 3 years older than him when I died.
And whose fault is that? Although my husband was general of the army, Charles decided that his cavalry better commanded by a 23-year-old boy who'd never been in charge of anything before.
I was an experienced soldier, and a rather dashing one at that.
On October 23rd, they gathered at Edge Hill.
Oh, that's just 15 minutes down the M40.
At 8 o'clock in the morning, the king rode his horse along the ridge of Edge Hill, looked at his enemies and proclaimed, "I shall give them battle." May God the prayers of good men to him assist the justice in my cause.
Of course, Uncle Charlie's men were not ready to fight until after lunch.
At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 11,000 royalists were finally poised and ready to attack.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh.
You don't know about that, dear?
I don't know much about that. Oh, well, that was because the men had no idea what they were doing. That's right. It was a right kerfuffle.
The leader of the parliamentarians was an old comrade of ours, Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex. He trained in the same tactics in Holland together with my husband. They never thought they had to fight against each other. My husband urged caution in underestimating their adversary.
And I said that we should charge. And my friend, Patrick Ruthven, he totally said it was a good idea, and it would definitely work, and he totally backed me up. I fought in the 30 Years' War, you know.
Well, not all of it. You're only in your 20s.
Still, even the king believed me.
He's your uncle. He only agreed with you to shut you up. Dear me. After Charles disregarded my husband's advice, he had no choice but to resign the title of general, as it didn't seem to mean anything anyway. He went back to his regiment as colonel, and vowed that his temper should not hinder him in his duty.
I led a successful charge right at the enemy cavalry, and they turned on their heels and they fled like dogs with tails between their legs.
And did you then return to help Robert and his troops?
Of course not. We were deep in pursuit of the enemy.
And you galloped right off after them into the field, leaving my husband and his men to be shot at.
There was no way that their guns could reach them down that slope.
They did manage to get out of range and fired a volley of guns back at them, but then it all became a bit too fierce. The king fled, and he ordered his men to get his sons to safety. My husband was fighting front and centre. Until...
he was shot in the leg.
Yes. The bullet went right through the thigh bone and he collapsed to the ground. He was surrounded by enemies on horseback. My son, Montague, bravely flung himself toward his father without a care for himself. The enemy called to him to lay down his sword and surrender, but he carefully picked Robert up and carried him to a nearby shed, laid him gently on a bale of straw and tried to stop the blood oozing from his wounds.
Yes, and while they were hiding in a shed, I gallantly returned to the battlefield, and then I tried to rally my troops for another charge. But the men were, they were too busy plundering all of the bodies for loot. Dear.
The fighting went on until sunset, and a bitterly cold night gripped the battlefield. In the arms of my son, Robert knew not if the war had been won. He felt death's cold hand grip him, and he said, if it please God I should survive, I will never fight in the same field as boys again.
Well, that means you'll never fight in the field with your son again?
No, Rupert! You never fight with a bumbling, brash young fool like you. When Robert's adversary and old friend, the Earl of Essex, heard of his condition, he sent men to find him. He offered a surgeon. When the men found Robert, he spoke to them of their sins, disloyalty and rebellion against the king. When they left, they urged the Earl of Essex not to go and find his friend, but he still sent a surgeon. Alas, he was too late. The bitterly cold night and the loss of blood had exhausted Robert, and as dawn broke, his soul had departed.
Your son Montague was captured by the fleeing parliamentarians as they fled to Warwick. It's said that he was captured and kept in that tower for nearly a year. Of course, Bertie's body, it rests at the chapel of St. Michael and All Angels in Lincolnshire.
And what about you, Rupert? What happened to you after the battle?
I had a brilliant career. I became a senior royalist general.
That was my husband's job.
Yes, well, I did it better. And then, of course, I was banished from England after the fall of Bristol. And then I went off to fight for King Louis XIV of France against the Spanish, and I became a privateer in the Caribbean.
You fought the pirates of the Caribbean?
No. When I returned, I became a senior English naval commander. I had a very successful career. And then I retired after I was injured of the leg at the Battle of Lowestoft. Then I was given the title of Constable of Windsor Castle. I devoted my life to science. I converted much of Windsor Castle to a laboratory, and I began working on fantastic new inventions of guns and gunpowder with greater force, 10 times more explosive than standard gunpowder. Yes. I died at my house in Spring Gardens in November 29th, 1682. You see, after the Battle of Edge Hill, I was hailed as a hero, but the parliamentarians, they hated me. They accused me and my dog of witchcraft.
Oh. That must be some terrifying hound you had.
It was a little white poodle called Boy. Yes, they thought that he could do all kinds of magic. They thought he could see the future, that he could find hidden treasure, and that he could stop a bullet in his teeth if it were fired at me.
Oh, could he really do all those things?
Well, he could sit up and he could shake your hand. Of course, then after Boy died, well, I replaced him with a pet monkey. And even he was accused of being my witch's familiar, and that he was also a shapeshifter. Everyone said that he could disguise himself and sneak behind enemy lines. Would have been useful if it were true.
Goodness me.
Yes.
Well, as astounding as you are, Rupert, the battle that was fought many years ago is even more famous.
Ah, you mean the events that occurred after the Battle of Edge Hill?
Indeed. For you see, many of the fallen soldiers' bodies lay unburied, just littered across the battlefield. On Christmas Eve, 1642, a group of shepherds walked across the field that had so long before been soaked in blood. They reportedly heard the clanging of swords, the clash of armour, the whinnying of horses, and the screams of the dying. What they saw was a ghost army reenacting the battle in the skies above.
Yes. Many of the shepherds reported this to a local priest, who claimed that he also had seen the apparition. Many of the villagers, in fact, of the little village of Killerton, claimed they had also seen this ghostly sighting.
In January 1643, a pamphlet was released entitled A Wonder in Heaven, detailing these phantom soldiers, and eventually news reached the king. Charles was so intrigued into a royal commission to investigate, and they too saw the ghost army, and even were able to identify a few of the soldiers' faces.
One of the men that was identified was Edmund Verney. He was the king's flag bearer during the Battle of Edge Hill. He was demanded to give up the flag by the parliamentarians, but he refused. So they took the flag with his hand. It is said that when the king's men recovered the flag later, his hand still grasped the pole.
Oh dear. Well, in order to try and rid themselves of this ghost army, the villagers decided to eventually bury the bodies, only 3 months late. They thought that by burying the bodies, they put the souls to rest as well.
It is said that the apparitions ceased. Except for every October 23rd, on the anniversary of the battle, it is said that the ghost army of Edge Hill rises again.
Every October, the ghost army rises from Edge Hill and marches here to Warwick Castle to free their fallen comrade, the most bravest royalist soldier, Montague, my son.
The Ghost Army has gone on to inspire J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. The Royal Commission's investigation is the only ghost sighting officially recognised by the Public Record Office. They are the only ghosts in England to have achieved this, and go down in history as England's most famous ghost story.
Right, so we went left into Haunted Hollows, which we've shown you through, and we're now going to go in to the Horrible Histories maze. Now this was actually new last time we came to Warwick Castle, and we didn't go through it. And we're not going to pick up a time passport either.
Oh, is it?
But I am going to scratch my leg before we go any further. There we go. So wanted, ratas for messing up time. How difficult is this maze going to be? Okay. So we got a nice sign here. Vicious Vikings, Ye Old Castle, Slimy Stuarts, Middle Ages. I don't think I want to go that way. Pick a route, any route. Frightful World War. I'm going to go straight on.
Guy Fawkes at the Battle of Hastings? That's impossible.
That's never good, is it, when you see someone going for a fence? Okay, well that was good.
The Stuarts fighting in World War I? I don't think so.
That was a great start, wasn't it? Pick a route, any route. Right, let's try again, shall we? Let's go this way. There's a lot of people that go through fences. He went through there, so we're gonna have to go this way.
We've got to turn somewhere else.
Oh, I can see some guillotines through there. We'll try and show you some sceneries that we don't see as we kind of go around. I don't know what the ultimate goal is, to find everything or get out. I don't really know. Okay, what we found? Ah, this is what we were aiming for, the frightful World War. Oh. Oh. No, I'm gonna go this way. Right, so what do you do here then? Storming Normans. I could get a stamp, but I didn't bring anything to stamp. Oh look, we found yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on now. No one saw that. You didn't see me do that, you can't prove anything. We found the exit. How do we feel about the exit?
The First World War, what a mess!
Oh look, it is a Now TV castle. God, that means they even had Now TV here as well. So what you've seen there is a couple of things. We did show you the Ghost Story show, which was on the dead centre stage. We'll get that right. And yeah, it's quite an interesting story actually, because it's not too far away from here. And Warwick Castle centres around quite a lot of the battles and you know, history really, of English history. A lot of it centres around Warwick Castle. It's quite funny because we've shown you very quickly around the castle bit. There's not actually a lot of the castle open. I think the castle's massive, but there's only really a few rooms and things you can visit. And you know, we're walking around kind of wondering what's actually you know, what's actually real, if you will, authentic, and what is kind of, you know, added in afterwards, or kind of refurbished. Now obviously the castle's gone through quite a lot of refurbishment, as it's now a public owned place. I think 1978 it said this opened to the public as an open ground, and you know, since Merlin has taken it, obviously more shows and things have come in as well. So we showed you around there and showed you one of the shows. That's one of the Halloween shows. There are more as well. So it is starting to rain again as well, which means more water on the lens, so I'm gonna have to come off. So some of the ones earlier, some of the shots earlier, I do apologise. You know, we wanted to get shots for you because some of these shows are only on kind of once, maybe twice a day, and with other things we've had to do, we've not been able to come back and film them. It has been raining, and it's just one of those end of season things where, you know, it it rains. Really sorry it rains. But as we said, we have been into some of the mazes and some of the shows. So of course, first we went into the castle dungeons. For those that have been inside the castle dungeons, it's very similar to the other dungeons in terms of how it's, you know, laid out. I don't think there's anything really particularly different, although some of the stories are slightly different because we're in Warwick, and again, it's got a rich history. You know, you can expect the courtroom, you can expect ones about the plague, you know, the final scene as well. Is very similar to sort of the other ones where you kind of sit in a circle. It actually reminded me a bit of the Alton Towers one this year, where, you know, the witches and things come out of nowhere. As a final sort of strobe finale. It was about 40 minutes long. I don't remember it being that long, but I don't think it has changed, in fairness. One thing I will say is it was definitely overcrowded. It was really, really, really tight and difficult to actually get in the rooms and to, you know, experience it and see everything. And they've got a lot of times where you're supposed to stand on platforms to look over and people stand in front of you. You know, it's quite a small dungeon. It just felt there were too many people in there, and even on the final scene, you know, people were sitting in between sort of chairs on edges and things. It just felt like they overdone it a little bit. Bear in mind, it's an upcharge here. It's not free. You know, people are paid to go in there to get the, you know, the full-on experience. And yeah, I've been through it before, and it is free on an annual pass, and a premium annual pass. It is free on there. You know, it just felt it was a bit too tight, which ruined it a little bit for us. Then we went into the Junior Ghost Hunters. It is designed for 3 to 8-year-olds, so I have to take that into account. However, did find it a little bit childish, to be fair. You know, you kind of walk into the room and you meet the professor. The professor is going on about ghost hunting and, you know, where they see ghosts and everything like that. And he's got this story and his song that he goes through as well. And you end up repeating it in hope that you learn it. And then when he actually starts singing it, it just goes off onto a tangent, onto other things. And it did seem to go on and on and on. And at first I thought, actually, you know, this is quite good. You know, the kids were enjoying it and things. But even by the end of it, the kids were like, what else is there? Once you move out of this room, I don't know whether that part, I believe that part is open normally to the rest of the, you know, the rest of the year in terms of castle, but it's obviously shut off for this. You go into the library section. I've definitely been into the library before, so I know that's open. And you've got 3 ghosts in front of you. And the 3 ghosts kind of come to life with projections. They're just sheets, effectively. They come to life with projections. And then projections just sort of talk to each other and just go, how are we going to scare these guests? Who's going to scare these guests? And they go through like going boo and things like that. I have to say, it was mind-numbingly boring. It didn't really seem to capture the kids either, to be honest with you. You know, the professor comes in with you, just sort of sits at the front. And, you know, these ghosts just talk complete rubbish. To be honest, it really wasn't a very engaging show at all. Really a bit disappointed with it, to be honest with you. And you know, I know it's for youngsters. You know, I've had young children. Obviously, mine are a little bit more grown up now. I can tell you now, they wouldn't have enjoyed that. It just wasn't engaging enough. We've then gone into Paranormal Encounters, which is a 10+ maze. So I was actually expecting something quite spooky, and I wasn't disappointed. Wasn't disappointed at all. So you go in and there's this massive TV, it must be about 70-inch TV, sitting on like the room, sitting on the bedroom side and things, and they go through the story about the maid, and the maid come in. They say about the Earl at the time literally took her baby and threw it out the window. Just threw it out the window, which was quite gruesome in itself. However, she then threw herself out the window to try and capture the baby, and the bodies were never found. The Earl came to a gruesome death about 20 years later. I can't quite remember how. And you start off with that kind of story. Then as you go through, it develops the story a bit more. So you go from that room to another chambers where the Earl stayed, and then, you know, another one as well. And it's got TV screens along the way, and it kind of tells you a little bit more of the story. And of course, the Paranormal Encounters it's the TV show. So they're filming a TV show effectively. So you've got interviews with you know, paranormal people. Kind of cuts out like it's being taken over by someone, and you know, it's a little bit spooky. It's a little bit spooky, but nothing sort of out of the ordinary. Then you enter the final room where the TV crew are, and the TV crew get you to stand in this massive circle around this rocking chair to try and summon effectively the spirits, which is going to be the maid and potentially her baby. And you know, you're all standing hand in hand in the circle, which is a bit strange because I had a child next to me, which hold the child's hand, but it's a bit strange. But you all stand in this circle, and you know, the lights flicker, go out, and then of course right in the middle the rocking chair starts moving, and then just after then the strobe lights hit and the old lady comes out, or the maid. It looked like an old lady, oddly enough, but the maid come out with baby in hands, rocking in the chair. And you know, you can see the children that had gone in there, that were definitely under 10, were definitely creeped. The one standing next to me was squeezing my hand for dear life, even though I had no idea who they were. You know, and it's good in a way because it's quite freaky, and it was quite spooky. And then of course the Earl comes in as well. You don't see this, they're obviously appearing from a different point where you've got the TV show people in there. They're obviously letting them in and out of the circle because you don't break hands. And it's really, really creepy and a fantastic finale. You know, it's a lovely build up with the TV screens. I was a bit like, why there's so many TV screens, but it all made sense at the end. You know, beautiful build up and an absolutely brilliant finale. Really, really enjoyed it. And then of course you've seen us walk through there, the Haunted Hollow. I know what it was. You've seen us walk through the Haunted Hollow. That's a bit of fun, to be honest. And you know, the lady at the beginning's like, oh, you're just gonna walk past me, so I walked back to her and she went, walk off, which was a little bit confusing because we were told we could film in there. I'm not sure she was overly convinced we should be, but we were told we can film in there. And there's some lovely detail, and you know, for a little walk through, there's a few characters. I quite like the tree character, to be honest. She was quite funny at the end. And you know, we heard people screaming coming out of there, but we didn't really see a finale, so not sure if we missed something. I thought the person at the end was alive, as I said in there. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were, and they just didn't feel they could scare us. But lovely, lovely little walkthrough. There is one more left to do now, which is the night one, the Dead Night one. That opens at 5 o'clock. We've kind of gone through the day where it's been raining so heavily. We've kind of paused filming here and there, but that opens at 5 o'clock, which is in about half an hour's time. The park's got slightly less busier because there were a lot of school groups here earlier. So I'm hoping we can get in and out of that quite quickly. That's the plan anyway. Have you been to Warwick Castle? Let us know in the comments if you've been to Warwick Castle. We can't take you through the next maze, I highly doubt. Maybe we can, but I highly doubt we can. But we're going to do a review straight afterwards. This is a 12+ maze. So I'm expecting this one to be quite scary.
Violations will be removed from the attraction for rental. They will not touch you, but they will.
So right behind us there is Warwick Castle, and we're actually in the overflow car park. I forgot to say, it took us about 15 minutes to actually walk to the park. It's like being at Alton Towers all over again. Now we queued there for the 5 o'clock opening, actually opened about 5-10 minutes earlier, of Dead Night, which went through kind of the basement area of the towers. It is normally towers, it's because I was just talking about Alton Towers. The basement area of the castle, that's where we are, we're at the castle. The basement area of the castle where they had sort of like the chambers, and I remember the outside toilet, and they have sort of the knights and things. It's usually open to the public, but it is closed for this maze to open. And yeah, it's a bit dated in terms of hands on shoulders, which I don't really think is necessary in this day and age in any maze. I really don't think it's necessary in any maze in this day and age. And I think that there's plenty of parks around the UK that have you know, really embraced the change, and it's worked very, very well. And bearing in mind, Merlin don't have any hands on shoulders anymore either. I'm a bit surprised that Warwick Castle went down that route. But that aside, you know, once you go through down some tricky steps and things with your hands on people's shoulders, you kind of go into this area. It's well themed anyway. You know, I say themed, it's the normal sort of scenery which you get to see when you walk through it, so it's very difficult to say, but it's well themed anyway. You've got some draped curtains, you've got some draped kind of clothes and things which you walk through, and then you have the actors pop out behind the sets as you go through. You know, there's not a lot to it, to be honest with you. I think a 12+ rating for it is a little bit too much, to be perfectly fair. I think we definitely preferred Paranormal Encounters a lot better, because it had a really good story building up to it, and then had a really strong finale and was actually quite scary. You know, even for me, it would have produced jump scares, which that one just didn't have the capability of doing. Yeah, it did have some confined spaces, but when you get your hands on shoulder and you're trying to battle through clothes and things, it's really quite difficult to kind of enjoy what's around you, and I really think it ruined the flow of the maze. I think we saw about 4 actors in there. It wasn't very long, it was only about 2 or 3 minutes, but it is nice that, you know, it's the first year it's open, it is nice they're doing something different. You know, as we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, you know, the mazes aren't really themed. The walkthrough, the Haunted Hollow, was slightly themed. That kind of stuff isn't there all year round, but the other ones are using existing bedrooms, you know, existing chambers, existing basements, and everything that's in there to kind of create a theme. It wasn't the first place we thought of for Halloween. It was probably the last place we thought of, but we've had a great day. You know, there's actually loads to do here. We've managed to spend, I don't know, quite a few hours here just sort of moseying around, doing the mazes and everything. It is worth noting that the mazes, certainly the castle dungeons, you have to pay for unless you have premium pass, and even then you do need to get a time ticket for it. The children's show as well, the children's sort of one with the professor, you need to get a time ticket for that one, and indeed the paranormal one, you need to get a time ticket for that. So just remember, if you come to the park, go and get a time ticket, because if you arrive, do the castle, maybe watch some of the shows and things, and then think I want to get in a maze, there's a good chance during the half-term period that it will be sold out, so make sure you do. But yeah, we've had a good day. We've had a good day, no complaints. It's kind of what we expected, had real good fun. So let us know in the comments, have you been to Warwick Castle? If so, what mazes did you go in? Did you enjoy them? Which one was your favourite? This is UK Theme Parks. Remember to like and subscribe. We are coming to the end of the open season now. However, we've always got content over the closed season, so make sure you stay with us, and we'll see you next time.